The political class in Britain continues to sidestep a fundamental issue, the housing crisis. While discussions often centre around supply and infrastructure, there is an undeniable demand issue that cannot be ignored. For years, mainstream parties have refused to acknowledge the root cause, leaving citizens frustrated with empty promises and ineffective policies. Reform UK, however, is breaking away from this pattern, addressing the real concerns of the British people. Unsurprisingly, their popularity is surging in the polls. In today's video, we will delve into an intense panel discussion where Reform MP Erupts completely dismantles the left-wing narrative on housing. His arguments left the so-called experts floundering, unable to counter his points, and exposed the establishment's failure to address the crisis head-on. The footage is a must-watch moment that highlights why more and more Britons are abandoning the old parties in favour of genuine change.
But that's not all.
We will also examine some of the biggest headlines making waves across the country, shedding light on what's truly happening in Britain today. Before we dive in, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel. Join our rapidly growing community and be part of the conversation. Also, don't forget to check out our latest Own Care t-shirts available at british.com. The link is in the description below. During the discussion, the topic of the UK's housing crisis was brought up, highlighting both supply and quality issues. Some panelists suggested that improving infrastructure would naturally lead to better housing solutions. However, Erupts immediately challenged this notion. He pointed out the glaring issue that many refuse to acknowledge: demand. Over the past 3 years, 2 million net new people have arrived in the UK, while only 600,000 new homes have been built. That's a staggering gap. Even if Labour were to meet its ambitious target of constructing 1.5 million homes, it would still be insufficient, given the projected net increase of 2.5 million new people in the same period. To make matters worse, new government projections indicate that net migration will continue at 700,000 per year, meaning 5 million additional people will need housing in the coming years. Despite these clear numbers, establishment parties shy away from addressing the demand side of the crisis. Reform UK is the only party that recognises this imbalance and has proposed policies that deal with both supply and demand. Erupts' points struck a chord, leaving the opposition visibly shaken. Beyond the housing shortfall, there is a major issue in the construction sector itself. Jobs in construction are readily available, but young British workers are not taking them. Major organisations within the industry have repeatedly warned of a growing skills shortage. This is not just about a lack of training opportunities, there is also a cultural shift where fewer young people are willing to enter these professions. One panellist suggested that a potential solution could be a youth mobility scheme with Europe, allowing foreign workers to fill the labour gap. However, Erupts countered by emphasising that Britain should prioritise training and incentivising its own workforce rather than relying on migration as a quick fix. The changing demographics of housing. Another panelist attempted to downplay the impact of population growth, arguing that the housing crisis predates recent migration trends. He claimed that lifestyle changes, such as people choosing to live alone, getting divorced, or preferring larger homes, were driving the demand for housing just as much as migration. However, Erupts quickly shut down this argument, highlighting that while lifestyle changes do play a role, they pale in comparison to the sheer number of new arrivals. The reality is that the country is experiencing an unprecedented population surge, which is putting immense pressure on housing, public services, and infrastructure. Furthermore, Erupts pointed out that poorly managed population growth has exacerbated existing economic challenges. He cited Canada as an example of a country that has implemented structured population policies with better long-term planning. The UK, in contrast, has allowed unchecked migration without adequately addressing its impact on housing, jobs, and community cohesion. In other news, new proposals from the Conservative Party aim to curb migration and ensure that only those who contribute positively to the economy can remain in the UK. Under the proposed plan, migrants would need to earn at least £28,000 per year to be eligible for indefinite leave to remain. Data indicates that over half of current migrant workers in Britain would not meet this threshold. According to government statistics, 72% of skilled work visas were granted to migrants earning below the UK's average salary of £37,000. Only 5% of visas in the past year went to high-skilled migrants who are likely to be net contributors. The new policy aims to shift this dynamic, ensuring that those granted permanent residency contribute more in taxes than they take in benefits and services. Chris Philp, the Shadow Home Secretary, stated that indefinite leave to remain must be earned. Migrants should not be granted permanent residency if they rely on social housing or government benefits. This move is expected to drastically reduce the number of new permanent residents and reinforce the idea that British taxpayers should not have to subsidise those who do not contribute to the economy. The proposed changes also include extending the wait time for permanent residency from 5 years to 10 years. Additionally, migrants would have to wait 5 years, rather than the current 12 months, before applying for British citizenship. These stricter policies aim to restore fairness in the system and prevent benefit tourism from straining public resources. North West Essex MP KY Bardock emphasised that a British passport should be a privilege, not an automatic entitlement. Those who work hard, integrate into society, and contribute positively should be the ones allowed to stay. He criticised Labour's stance on the issue, arguing that their policies would force hard-working taxpayers to subsidise new arrivals who have never contributed to the system. While political debates dominate the headlines, there are still uplifting stories that showcase the bright future of Britain. Recently, 5 young environmental innovators had the opportunity to meet Prince William at Windsor Castle. The children, aged between 8 and 12, were winners of the prestigious Blue Peter Earthshot competition. Their innovative ideas focused on tackling environmental challenges. Some of their concepts included planting family forests, using algae ponds to clean factory pollution, developing compostable glasses that measure air pollution, and designing solar-powered refill stations to reduce waste. Another brilliant idea was ocean bursts, bath bomb-like pods that provide coral reefs with essential nutrients. During their visit to Windsor Castle, the young winners presented their projects to Prince William and members of a cross-party environmental committee. They even participated in an eco-friendly craft session with the Prince, creating bird feeders together. Speaker of the House of Commons, Sir Lindsay Hoyle, praised their ingenuity and passion for environmental conservation. Final thoughts: the key takeaway from today's video is that Britain is at a crossroads. The housing crisis, immigration policies, and economic challenges all require serious discussion and bold action. Reform UK is rising in popularity precisely because it is addressing these issues head-on, rather than resorting to the same tired talking points. What do you think about today's discussion? Do you agree with Zia Yusuf's argument about the housing crisis? What are your thoughts on the government's new immigration policies? Let us know in the comments below. If you haven't already, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay tuned for more British content.